I was unpacking groceries when the phone rang. It was a number I didn't recognize, local area code, but not one saved in my contacts. Normally I'd let it go to voicemail, but something told me to answer. Hello? Hi, is this Ms. Rachel Donovan? Yes, speaking. Great, this is Laura from Westlake Realty. I just wanted to confirm a few final details before we proceed with closing on the Elmwood Drive property. My body froze. I'm sorry, what property? She paused. 214 Elmwood Drive. The buyer has already signed and we're just waiting on your side for final documentation. We have the seller's rep, Ms. Vanessa Green, here with us now. My throat went dry. I'm not selling that house, I said flatly, and Vanessa Green does not own it. Another pause. Longer this time. You're listed as the legal owner on the deed. Yes. It's my house, and I never authorized anyone to sell it. Laura cleared her throat. Okay. Wow. I'm going to stop this process immediately and flag this file. But you may want to look into what's going on. It seems like someone is trying to sell your home without your consent. I barely said thank you before hanging up. The bag of apples I'd been holding slipped from my hand and rolled across the kitchen floor. My house. The one I'd worked 20 years to pay off. The one I'd let Vanessa stay in temporarily after my divorce. She was trying to sell it. At first, I thought it was a mistake. Maybe someone used the wrong address. Maybe Vanessa was just applying for refinancing or needed a property appraisal. But deep down, I knew better. Vanessa wasn't careless. She was calculated. I grabbed the deed from my filing cabinet. It was still there in black and white, Rachel Elaine Donovan, sole owner. No co-signers, no power of attorney, no transfer of title. I called my lawyer, left a voicemail, then I drove. Elmwood Drive was only 15 minutes away, but I took every turn like I was chasing something, and I was the truth. I pulled into the driveway, and there it was, my home, still painted blue with white trim. My porch swing still creaked in the breeze. But there was something new, A4, sale sign in the yard. Westlake Realty. Vanessa's name scribbled across the flyer as homeowner representative. I sat there for a moment, pulse hammering in my neck. Then I got out of the car, walked up the steps, and rang the bell to the house I still legally owned. Vanessa opened the door like nothing was wrong. "Oh, Rachel," she said with a tight smile. "Didn't expect you today." I looked her dead in the eyes. "We need to talk." Vanessa Green wasn't a stranger. She was family, at least she used to be. She was my ex-husband's older sister, and for years we'd done the polite dance you do with in-laws, birthday calls, awkward holiday dinners, small talk about recipes neither of us ever planned to cook. We were never close, but we weren't enemies. Just adjacent. Familiar enough to smile at, distant enough to avoid real conflict. That changed after my divorce. When Greg and I split the house, was the only real asset left worth fighting for. But I had the paperwork, the trail of payments, and the endurance to outlast his tantrums in mediation. He walked away angry. I walked away with the deed and a broken heart I kept under control. The house had always been mine, really. I picked it. I paid most of the mortgage. I planted every flower in the backyard and patched every leaky faucet. After Greg moved out, it felt emptier than I imagined. Too quiet. Too still. But it was mine, and I intended to keep it that way. Then one rainy evening, about 3 months after the divorce, my doorbell rang. It was Vanessa, wet mascara, streaked, and holding 2 battered suitcases. "I just need a place to land," she said. "Just for a few weeks. Everything's falling apart." She looked like a mess. The sharp, always composed woman I'd known was gone. Her live-in boyfriend had kicked her out, she said. Her lease had ended. She had no job, no car, and no other family to call. I hesitated. Every instinct told me this wasn't a good idea, but every memory of being left alone during my own storm pulled me toward a yes. So I said it. Yes. "You can stay. Just for a little while." At first it was fine. She stayed in the guest room, kept mostly to herself, made strong coffee, and stronger complaints about her life. She wasn't warm, but she was grateful, at least she pretended to be. "I'll be gone before you know it," she'd say, "just until I get on my feet." But weeks turned into months. Her job hunt was discouraging. She borrowed my car a few times just to get to interviews. When I suggested she contribute something, rent groceries, anything, she waved me off with a tight smile. "You're doing okay now," she said. "Right, I mean, it's not like you need the money." That one stung, because no one ever saw the late nights I spent freelancing to rebuild my savings. No one saw the grocery lists planned down to the penny, the missed hair appointments, the anxiety that clung to me like static. Still, I said nothing. I let it slide. Because I wanted to be kind. Because I thought helping her meant healing something in me. But it didn't. It just opened the door wider for her to step in and decide she belonged there. She started acting like the house was hers. She had packages delivered in her name. She redecorated the guest bathroom without asking, replaced my blue towels with her gold ones. She rearranged the furniture in the living room, said it flowed better that way. And then one day, she invited friends over without telling me. I walked into my kitchen to find two strangers drinking wine at my table. Vanessa introduced me like a guest in my own home. "This is Rachel," she said. "She used to live here." It was a joke, but the kind of joke that has roots, the kind you water with a smile and a sideways glance until it grows into entitlement. I confronted her after they left. She laughed. "Oh, come on, don't be so uptight. I've been here for a year. It's practically home." That word home sounded like theft in her mouth. I started pulling back, stopped sharing my schedule, locked my bedroom door when I left, kept a tighter rein on my mail. Something about her energy had shifted. There was a weight behind her eyes that looked like calculation. Then came the trip. I left town for a week to visit my niece in Oregon. I asked Vanessa to water the plants, feed the cat. She nodded, distracted, said she'd take care of everything. And she did, just not the way I expected. That was the week she contacted a realtor. That was the week she forged paperwork claiming to act on my behalf to list the house. That was the week she decided my home should become hers. So when I showed up at the door after that phone call from Westlake Realty, I wasn't surprised to see her smirking, arms folded as if she had just won something. I wasn't surprised, but I was done being quiet. Vanessa leaned against the doorway like she was bored, as if I were the one interrupting something important. "Rachel, it's not that serious," she said, arms crossed. "It was just paperwork, a conversation with a realtor. I didn't even sign anything binding." "You listed the house for sale," I snapped. "You tried to sign as if you were the owner." She rolled her eyes. "I told them I was handling things for you, acting as your representative. It's not like I forged anything." I pulled out my phone. "This morning, Westlake Realty called me. They thought I was the one slowing down the sale. The listing agent had your name, your signature on the agreement. Vanessa, that is illegal." She waved a hand like I just mentioned a parking ticket. "Okay, so maybe I jumped the gun. But honestly, you don't even want the place. You barely stay here. It's a waste of space." I stared at her. She actually believed that her inconvenience justified stealing a home. "You're squatting," I said. "You've lived here for over a year without rent, and now you want to profit off of what I paid for with my name, my money, my time." "It's not like you're struggling," she snapped. "You're doing fine." I needed a fresh start. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Helping her had never been about charity. It had been about compassion, and she'd twisted that into entitlement. The next morning, I drove straight to my lawyer's office. Nancy had been with me through my divorce. She knew the property history and my patience threshold. After I explained what happened, she didn't hesitate. "We're filing a cease and desist letter against both Vanessa and the brokerage," she said. "Then we'll draft a formal notice to vacate. If she doesn't leave willingly, we'll file a civil eviction." I blinked. "Wait, she can fight that, she can try. But the deed is in your name. You have legal standing, not her. Her listing is fraudulent. She may not realize how serious this is." Oh, but she would. By Friday, the cease and desist letters had been sent, certified mail return receipt requested. I also met with the managing broker at Westlake Realty. She was mortified. "We're terminating the listing immediately," she said. "This is the first time in 20 years I've seen something like this. I'm so sorry." The "for sale" sign disappeared from my front lawn by the next morning. Vanessa, however, didn't disappear. She slammed doors, gave me the silent treatment. blasted music late at night like a teenager who'd been grounded. But she stayed. I tried talking to her one last time. "I gave you time," I said quietly. "I gave you shelter when you had none. I asked for nothing. But this is betrayal." She didn't even flinch. "You're not better than me," she hissed. "You just got lucky. Lucky 20 years of mortgage payments, working 2 jobs, rebuilding after divorce." She called that luck. Nancy filed the formal eviction paperwork the following week. Vanessa was served at the door papers in a manila envelope handed to her by a court official. She read them, laughed bitterly. "You'd rather throw me out like trash than share what you have?" "No," I said. "I'd rather reclaim what's mine." She sneered. "I'll fight this." I looked her dead in the eye. "Go ahead. But remember this time, you're not just dealing with me. You're dealing with the law." I changed the locks on the main entrance, installed a smart security system, and kept a copy of all legal filings with me at all times. I wasn't afraid. I was done. Every act of kindness I'd shown her had been mistaken for weakness. Every boundary I had failed to enforce had become an invitation for manipulation. But no more. She had built her plans on a lie, and now the foundation was crumbling fast. Neighbors started noticing. One even asked if I was okay. I smiled. "Better than I've been in months," I said. Because the thing about betrayal is it hurts the worst when it comes dressed in familiarity. But once you recognize it, once you name it out loud, it loses its power. Vanessa could glare, she could sulk, she could talk behind my back. But what she couldn't do was sell my house. Not anymore. The eviction hearing was scheduled for Tuesday morning. Vanessa didn't show up. Her absence didn't surprise me. She probably assumed it was just a scare tactic, that I was bluffing. That somehow, despite the cease and desist letters, the revoked listing the legal filings, I would just let it go. That I'd back down. But I didn't. I sat in the courtroom next to my lawyer Nancy, my folder of documents, perfectly organized the deed, with my name, the utility bills, Vanessa's fake listing contract, a copy of the voicemail from the real estate agent. When the judge called my name, I stood tall, calm, clear. We presented everything, no theatrics, just facts. The judge looked over the file, then leaned slightly forward and said, "So, to be clear, the defendant attempted to sell the property without any legal right to do so." Nancy nodded. "Correct, Your Honor, she is not on the title. The house is wholly owned by Ms. Donovan." The judge tapped his pen. "Well," he said, "that makes this simple." By the time I returned home, the official court order was printed and stamped. Vanessa had 7 days to vacate the property or face forced removal by the sheriff. I taped a copy to her bedroom door and one to the fridge. She came home late that night, probably thinking I'd be asleep. I was at the kitchen table sipping peppermint tea. She saw the paper, stopped cold. "This is harassment," she said flatly. "No," I replied. "It's court-ordered accountability. You had no right to go this far." I raised an eyebrow. "You tried to sell my home. You forged a listing contract. You refused to leave after I gave you months of free shelter. I had every right. You're just not used to anyone following through." She crumpled the paper in her hand and stormed off. Her door slammed so hard a picture frame rattled off the wall. I didn't flinch, because this time I wasn't reacting emotionally. I was protecting my space with law and truth on my side. In the days that followed, Vanessa scrambled. She made angry phone calls, cried loudly on speakerphone about how I had turned on her. She messaged mutual acquaintances, none of whom replied. I didn't argue. I didn't explain. I cleaned. I packed what I needed. I waited. On day 6, she still hadn't moved out. So, as the law allows, Nancy filed a sheriff's enforcement request. Vanessa received the final warning on her door the next morning. She moved out that night. No apology, no goodbye. She left behind chipped mugs, cheap decor she'd nailed into my walls, and a lingering sense of audacity I knew I'd smell for weeks. But mostly, she left behind a version of me I no longer needed to be the silent one, the nice one, the doormat. I changed the locks the next morning. Not just the physical ones, the emotional ones too. I walked room to room, reclaiming my space. One room had a broken curtain rod. I replaced it myself. One had a crack in the window, patched up by noon. I took my time repainting the front door. A fresh coat of deep blue with a brand new bronze handle. The porch swing still creaked, but now it felt like it was singing again. A few days later, I received a call from the real estate broker. "I just wanted to let you know," she said, "Vanessa's license, if she ever had a real one, is being reviewed for fraud. This kind of impersonation isn't just civil, it could be criminal." I thanked her, not because I wanted Vanessa punished, but because I wanted the record set straight. It wasn't about vengeance, it was about boundaries. About making sure the next time I said no, I didn't flinch. About knowing that I could enforce my rights without raising my voice, because I didn't need to make a scene to win. I just needed to own what was already mine on paper and in power. The house is quiet again. Not the kind of empty quiet it used to be, the kind that echoed with loneliness after my divorce. No, this quiet feels different. It feels clean, solid, earned. I walk through each room, slowly barefoot, on floors I once mopped, while crying, while questioning if I was too generous or too soft. Now I know the answer. I wasn't too soft. I just hadn't learned where to draw the line. People say it's just a house, but it's never just a house when you paid every bill, painted every wall, cried into its corners, rebuilt your sense of self inside its rooms. This house was my sanctuary long before she tried to sell it out from under me. And now, finally, it feels like mine again. Not just on paper, but in peace. I didn't call Vanessa after she left, didn't chase closure, didn't need an apology. Some betrayals don't deserve a response. They deserve a door that locks and stays locked. I installed a new security system, not because I live in fear, but because I live in certainty now. And because the next time I let someone into my home, they'll know it's a place built on boundaries, not blind trust. Funny how often women are told to be nice no matter what, to share, to forgive, to tolerate. But kindness without limits becomes self-destruction. And I'm done destroying myself to keep others comfortable. The truth is, I didn't win because I was smarter, or louder, or richer. I won because I stopped doubting my right to protect what was mine. I stopped explaining, stopped apologizing, and started responding with clarity, confidence, and a legal deed in hand. And you know what? That's stronger than revenge. That's real power. Have you ever opened your home or your heart to someone who crossed the line? Did they take advantage of your silence? Did they try to make what's yours feel like theirs? Share your story in the comments. Because this isn't just about a house. It's about boundaries, bravery, and reclaiming what they thought you'd never defend. Drop your truth. Let's remind each other you don't need permission to protect your peace. You just need the courage to lock the door. So,